For the past 5 videos, we've talked about or worked with lists. Let's conclude our discussion on lists by discussing various functions associated with them. The first function you've seen many times before is the length function. Length simply returns the number of characters or elements in a sequence. Since we're currently working with lists, length returns the number of elements in that list. Back to Jupyter Notebooks, what we'll do is we'll create a list of integers. Numbers is equal to a list of 4, 3, 7, and 4. If we were to take the length of the list, that is, inside of length, declare our variable numbers, run the cell, and the output as expected is 4, since that is how many elements we have in this list. Another function useful for lists is the max method. Max will return the greatest element in that list, in this case 7. We'll test this out by writing max, and the argument will be the numbers list itself. Indeed, it returns 7 because 7 is the greatest numerical value in the list. However, what if I had a list of strings? How would max then work? Well, we can make a list names is equal to whatever names you want. I will stick with Thomas, Geo, and Zach. By taking the max of this list, that is max names, the output of this is Zach. Why? When dealing with strings, the maximum would be the string that appears last based on alphabetical order. So we can conclude that max works differently depending on which data types you have inside of your list. What if the list contained not just strings, but also numbers? What we'll do is we'll put a 1 in there. In this case, the data types are incomparable. If you try to run it, the result cannot be defined, and as such, the error is shown. Let's revert this back to just having strings and use the min function. Min in this case will do the exact opposite of max. It will return the string that shows up first based on alphabetical order. In our case, Geo, since G falls before T and Z. Intuitively, for a list of integers, min would simply return the smallest integer, in this case the number 3. The same idea follows for floats. Another useful function that we can use for lists is sorted, such that sorted will take in a value and argument of our numbers list. If you run this cell, the output is a copy of a list that's sorted from lowest number to highest. By doing the same thing for our names list, sorted names, what this will do when ran, it clearly sorts our names list in alphabetical order, Geo, Thomas, and Zach. We've talked about functions. Now let's talk about methods. Remember, we said that functions accept arguments or argument inside of their parentheses, as you can see right here. This is a function. A method differs from a function in the sense that every data type has its own distinct set of methods. We'll start off by looking at the join method. The join method is actually a string method that takes in as an argument a list of strings. From the string argument, what it's going to do is return a string consisting of every element on that list. All of these elements joined by the string that's calling the method. Here's an example. We'll start off with a hyphen, a string hyphen, which calls the method join, .join, which takes in as an argument, remember, a list. We will have a list of strings, January, February, and March. If we run this code, what it just did is it joined every string in that list with the hyphen string that called the method. Instead of a hyphen, you can make this into a blank space, such that now every string is joined by a blank space. The list of strings is converted to a string such that every element is joined by the separator string calling the method. In this case, the separator string is just an empty space. Another useful string method is format. This is most easily demonstrated with a print statement. So print, this person is, open up curly braces, close curly braces, do that once more, and another set of brackets. Okay. What we can do now is we can format the string, .format, such that wherever there's a bracket, or a curly brace I should say, we want to replace it with a specific string. That is, inside of format, I can write tall, slim, and blonde. If I run this code, we get the person is tall, slim, and blonde. The string was formatted such that each string over here was assigned to each curly brace according to the order in which they were written. Another useful method is the append method. If you've worked with arrays in other languages, you've definitely seen this method before. What it's going to do is add an element to the end of a list. So we'll copy and paste the list that we have over here and set it equal to a variable called months. Months is equal to the list of strings. What we can do now is append a new month to the end of our list. That is months.append, and we're going to append the month April. We'll go ahead and print months, and we get our appended list, January, February, March, and April. Perfect. There are many more methods and functions that we can talk about. However, this is where we conclude our discussion on lists. In the next video, we'll take a look at tuples.